Hello everyone, and welcome to the CVO Online Education Hub. I'm Lo Fixing. Let's dive into project integration management. So what exactly is integration? Every day we step out, we choose our outfits. Isn't that right? Especially for the ladies. When it's a date night, you put in extra effort to look your best. This head-to-toe outfit coordination is a form of integration. When it comes to our projects, you need to concentrate on our 5 key processes. It's about bringing together all the information from his supported fields to integrate everything. But before discussing integration, we should first explore the PDCA cycle. PDCA cycle will be a guiding element throughout our entire project management curriculum. The PDCA cycle was introduced by Schuart, a quality management expert who was an expert in quality management. Later on, Deeming, another quality management specialist, expanded and popularized it, making it known almost worldwide, leading everyone to recognize PDCA. What does it signify? It means we need to start with a plan. Make a plan. Once the plan is ready, we proceed to execute it, to take action and execute. How effectively are we executing? We need to perform some checks. We need to conduct a review. Once the check is complete, we'll identify any issues or areas that need adjustment. We're falling behind schedule. Also, the costs are over budget. There is also a quality issue. We might need to make some improvements. PDCA cycle aligns with our main project phases: planning, execution, monitoring, and control. But before discussing the PDCA cycle, we need to set a goal first. We know some people are very hands-on and they approach tasks with great care, practical hands-on work. But we say it's not enough to just plow through the work. We must also keep an eye on the big picture. If the goal isn't clear, without keeping the bigger picture in mind, without watching where you're going, where might that lead? Veering off course. That's why having a clear goal is crucial. When working on projects, we often come across this scenario. At first, the goal isn't very clear. It gradually becomes clearer as you work on it. In project management, there's a specific term for this known as progressive elaboration. At the beginning, we might only have a limited understanding of the information, with much of it still unclear. As time progresses, things start to become clearer. This characteristic prompts us to adopt an agile mindset in our projects, focusing on clarifying our immediate tasks, then proceed to complete it. As time moves forward, I'll clarify some more, and then move to finish it. This approach involves iterating and steadily advancing. Having grasped this concept, realize that the goals are clear for certain projects. There are industries where things are clear-cut. However, many industries remain ambiguous. Clarity comes through the process of working. Regardless of what's clear or what remains unclear in the future, things will become clear eventually. We will adopt a PTC cycle approach to drive things forward. Project work essentially involves defining tasks. We gave a brief overview in the previous section. As for the 5 main process groups, these include initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Next are the 10 knowledge areas, encompassing scope, schedule, cost, and quality, resource management, communication management, risk management, procurement management, and stakeholder management. Also, there's project integration management. Integration is like coordinating an outfit. Think of yourself as an orchestrator to bring everything together. We'll do it together, won't we? Our approach to integration management, it combines scope, cost, and quality. To unify these elements, you could liken it simply to guiding thread that ties it all. Group them together, execute together. It will concentrate on the whole process: initiation phase, tasks of the planning phase, followed by execution, monitoring, and closure. Key activities of each phase all tie back to integration within projects. Project management is essentially about integration. Let's explore this. We've touched on this earlier on the subject of initiation. We'll cover planning, execution, monitoring, and closing. These are the 5 major process groups. However, each of these phases can be thought of like this. Think of it as similar to musical instruments, where each instrument, like a drummer with their drums, might take center stage at certain times, playing a pivotal role. Similarly, the oboe might be emphasized at another time, taking the lead. Our 5 key phases are similar in that each stage leader stands out at specific stages. In all that, they may provide support, and together, they create a harmonious composition. Thus, we see a timeline here. Along this timeline, we initially discussed the project lifecycle begins with an initiation phase, followed by the planning and preparation phase. Next is the execution phase, followed by the closing phase. Prior to this initiation phase, there's a preliminary planning stage, the recommended initial preparation phase. Isn't that right? These 4 phases align with our 5 major process groups. Exactly. The initiation process group primarily concentrates on the initiation phase, and planning is part of this structural setup, focused primarily on the preparation phase. and it will continue to develop, involves ongoing adjustments and improvements. Why further adjustments and improvements will occur later? As we mentioned earlier, projects are characterized by progressive elaboration, where objectives might be unclear at the outset, but gradually become clearer as the project progresses. Isn't that right? That's the reasoning behind it. On the other hand, the main focus of the execution phase is it's primarily focused on the execution phase, carried out during this phase, resulting in deliverables. The conclusions takes place during the closing phase. It's primarily in the final stages. However, throughout the entire process, we must supervise and control it. What's the purpose of monitoring? It's about the entire life cycle. We need to focus on what needs to be done and what have we accomplished, how's the progress, and how it aligns with our tasks, what the level of deviation is, how we should address it and bring it back on track or achieve our expected state. This concerns the 5 major process groups. They work in coordination, forming the project's life cycle. Naturally, in each process group, it generates its own outputs. During the initiating process group, what is its typical output? It's the project charter. The project charter is the formal document used to officially launch the project, grant formal authority to the project manager, thereby allowing them to allocate resources for project management. However, it comprises several other documents as well. We'll elaborate on it when discussing specific sections and provide a detailed explanation. In the planning process group, it produces the project management plan. This project management plan, it's an all-encompassing plan. It encompasses scope management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, resource, communication, risk procurement and stakeholder, and other management plans, various subplans, along with the scope baseline, the schedule baseline, and the cost baseline. These 3 key baselines. This is the document. It's also part of our planning phase. And upon completion, we receive vital information. When we implement, certain deliverables are created. However, these deliverables go through various stages. For instance, we check their quality to ensure they meet standards. We carry out the deliverables acceptance. Eventually, during the final stage, next, about the documentation, we need to pass on the results to a third party and also archive the documents. This is part of the overall project management process. It's all about integrating everything as we connect all these tasks to ensure they're all linked and properly managed. These shouldn't be fragmented. In our work, we shouldn't tackle it piece by piece. It's like dealing with problems only when they hit. For instance, if your scope expands a bit, you might have to deal with having to use more manpower to get it done or having to spend extra time. There could also be a need for more funding, since the money spent on this project and the additional time spent translates directly to cost. Right. Moreover, due to taking on extra tasks, it could affect other areas. There are some effects on quality, so they are all connected. We need to bring them together. We should think about them collectively. An overview of the 5 major process groups. Integration management as a whole, there are 7 key processes involved. One involves creating the project charter. It's part of the initiating process group. Another involves creating the project management plan. It's part of the planning process group. Next is guiding and managing project work, plus managing project knowledge. They are part of the execution process group and overseeing project activities and implementing overall control. They are part of the monitoring process group. Closing the project or phase, it is part of the closing process group. In other words, these 7 processes, they align perfectly with the 5 main process groups. They are a perfect match. In particular, there's a key point about integration. It's important for everyone to understand clearly who is responsible for integration. Integration falls under the project manager's duties. The project manager oversees integration, while each area of expertise has its own context. There may be their own specialists. For instance, risk management has its own specialists. Similarly, time evaluation relies on specialists. There are schedule management experts. Likewise, cost assessments call for their own experts. Cost management has its own specialists too. Nevertheless, every aspect is under your wing. As the project manager, you manage and coordinate integration. Imagine yourself as the conductor of an orchestra, where each musician plays their own instrument. This kind of integration task is not something you can delegate and cannot be passed on. As the project manager, you must complete it yourself. So, regarding integration, you might think of it as putting together a coordinated outfit, bring together all elements to integrate scope, schedule, cost, and quality. Involves initiation and planning, execution monitoring, and closing stages, integrating the 5 main aspects. Next, we integrate all elements. First, we need to establish a goal. We move on to planning. Next, we proceed to execution. After that, we supervise and control. Supervision and control phase. Essentially, this involves the E-check. The other part is action. This forms part of the PDCA cycle. This relates to it directly. Alright, here's what we'll do next to guide you into project integration management.